Yeah, I always have to check to make sure my speaker is on because that has been my main problem as I start talking and we have a great chat and then I go to put it up for people to share on social media and there's no sound. But I am Lori Yoakum. I'm the director at Wilson Public Library and this is our community chat for December. We are talking to members of the Cozad Rotary today. We have Lyle Davis and Claude Berrickman with us today. Welcome, gentlemen. Before we get started, I just want to remind people that we do have a Christmas light stroll tonight, which is December 11th at 5:30 at the library to see all of the great Christmas lights around town. If you're doing Christmas cards, you have until Friday at 4 o'clock to 4:30 to get your pre-stamped and addressed envelopes here. And the Pony Express will be riding them from Gothenburg to Cozad this year. And they have told me that they will be at our library at noon on Saturday, December 14th. And if you can't wait until next week, you're gonna have to a little bit. Carrie Mast will be here on Tuesday, December 17th at 5:30 as part of our Armchair Travels to talk about her trip to Chile. So we hope you enjoy it. Join us. And Claude and Lyle, thank you for coming. And what do you have to tell us about the Rotary?
Well, thank you for inviting the Cozad Rotarians to your community chat, Lori. I'm here as the president of the Cozad Rotary Club, but I'm kind of a new member compared to Lyle, who's been a member for whatever period of time he'll tell you about when I turn it over to him. So he's going to back me up on some of the Rotary history, but this is an exciting time of the year for Rotary because we are very involved in the holiday season. A couple of our big events come up here in the next few days. On Friday, the 20th of December, we do our Toys for Children program where we distribute toys to families who need a little extra help at Christmas. We have a lot of people in the community, along with the Rotary Club, acquire these toys. It's it's a project that we enjoy doing, but it involves a lot of work where we have to get the toys, find a place to store them, and then at this time of year, coming up here very soon, there'll be, maybe it's already happened, but we organize the toys, put them in bags for the families, assign them to the families. And then on Friday morning at the Cozad United Methodist Church, we cooperate with several other entities with respect to holiday assistance that's given. We deal with clothing, we deal with the food pantry, even though the food pantry is at the food pantry to allow people to pick food up there. There's a coat giveaway, but we are able to give families their toys so they're able to be wrapped. We give them to them in a plastic bag, unwrapped, so they can wrap them themselves and make sure who they decide to give them to. And we're really proud of that project, and we think it's a big benefit for our community. Another project that was started maybe 8 years ago, this is the 8th annual, I believe, looking at the posters. We have our Polar Express. I usually have the book in front of me because I read it, but so we have our Polar Express, which happens right here, starts right here in this room, with the Polar Express movie being shown on a continuous basis throughout the evening. We have hot chocolate and cookies for the kids, the adults, and it's basically from 0 to 99, and so we we'll be hosting people that night. They can buy tickets at either our office at Berrickman and Bazada or at the Cozad Chamber office. The tickets are $8 per person for people to be involved in the entire Pony Express or Polar Express project, which is everything that happens here. Plus the highlight is to hop on our trolley. We rent a trolley from Kearney, and we're hoping that the same guy that drives it comes up with it because he's a big addition to it. He drives the trolley in Kearney has for years, and for Polar Expresses as well. Myself and Paul McGinnis alternate from the trips to the North Pole, reading the Polar Express book by Chris Van Allsburg. We try to time it as we're driving through Cozad and looking at the Christmas lights, try to find the areas of town where the nicest Christmas lights are, give us enough time so we can get over to the west side of town, and then we get on Highway 30, and Chris and Susan Clipping's house becomes the North Pole for the night of the Polar Express. And again, the date is Monday, December 23rd. I don't think I mentioned that. And we have, we either start at 5 or 5:30.
5:30.
5:30, okay, so the first trolley will go at 5:30, and they're half-hour trolleys. We try to stay on track, and we usually do. We go out there, and I don't want to ruin the surprise, but we're going to the North Pole, so you can kind of guess what might be there, and or who might be there. And as everybody knows, Chris and Susan have a wonderful display of lights at Christmas. Then assuming Paul and I are on, then on the way back, we share in some Christmas carols on the way back, which is a more direct trip, directly back from the North Pole to the Cozad Library to pick up our next trolley. And that'll happen with the last one being, I think, 8.
It says 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, yeah. And I know that there are a couple of those trolleys that are already full, just from having looked at the tickets. There are still plenty of availability for tickets. There would probably even be availability that night, but you might want to check either with our office or with Jordan Starman at the chamber. So those are the things that are going on right now. And then I can stop there and turn this over to Lal for just a bit, but or answer any questions. I don't know if I missed anything about our December activities. We did participate in the High Five Friday last Friday, which is a neat project Cozad Elementary has, where various different organizations will go and be there when kids come into school. They turn on the music and they come in, and you try to get smiles on their face and high five them as they're starting to school to celebrate Friday, which is a neat project that's been around for a few years. They're not quite as excited to see the Rotarians there as they are to see the Cozad high school football team or the basketball or volleyball teams. They're a little more excited to see the youngsters there. But lots of different organizations participate in that, and we enjoy doing it too. I will back up a little bit, because the other big project that we had that we just got done in November was we give dictionaries to all Cozad third graders. They're full color, very impressive dictionaries that are given to the kids of the Cozad Elementary School when they get to third grade. We make a presentation to them. Usually my daughter Claire Bazada is the one who makes the presentation. She had a conflict and turned it over to me, so the kids were maybe not quite as well educated in how to use their dictionaries. But for some of us older folks who grew up with the dictionary just within hand's length away, and you used it all the time, that's not the case for kids nowadays.
They use their phone, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. So they use the internet, they use all kinds of options to get these answers. But this is a neat book that is sponsored by a number of different businesses in Cozad to allow us to do that, and as well as the Rotary Club, and distributed to all the third graders. Gave it to them on the Tuesday afternoon before they went home for Thanksgiving break. And, we share with them a little bit about how to use a dictionary. We don't check with their teachers to find out what they've already learned, but we talk a little bit about how to use the dictionary and show them some of the other things that are in that dictionary. It includes lots of different other things before and after the definitions and things throughout the book. Lyle might know a little more about how we eventually found this book, but I think we've been through maybe a couple or three different editions of it
It's, I think, I was telling Lori about it because I think this was the 19th year that we've done it. And I don't know how it came up, why we started doing it, but, you know, Claude, you talk about the high five kids aren't that excited to see Rotary, but these little third graders are very excited to see us when we have this book, and they don't really know what it is, but they start thumbing through it, and Claude gives them words to look up, and I mean, they learn real quick how to look up a word, and it's just, it's nice to see that excitement. But I mean, Rotary since I became a member in 1992, and in fact, Claude's dad was the one that talked me into joining it, and he just said, Lyle, he says, everybody needs to be part of a service organization, and this one meets at noon, so you don't have to meet at night. And I thought, well, that's not a bad idea. But it has been a very rewarding organization for me. And it started back in the early 1900s with a guy by the name of Paul Harris. And he got businesses together. And in fact, there's an award named after Paul. It's called the Paul Harris Award. And that's if any member raises $1,000, they are given a Paul Harris Award. And a lot of members have 5, 6, 7, a dozen. But one of the things that we do, we call it the Big Red Blowout. You know, we sell tickets for people to win a University of Nebraska football ticket, and they ride the bus down. They have lunch or dinner at Chances R, and they get a tailgate. They ride back. You know, and 25% of that money stays with the club. 50% of it goes to the foundation, which is used internationally. And of course, I don't know if many of you know, but polio has been a huge project for Rotary. And the eradication of polio we're down to one small country. And you have to have, I think it's 3 years before there is a documented case, and then it's
Is it considered obsolete?
considered obsolete, and there's one more left, and polio will be eradicated across our country, which I think is a big deal. But one of the things that, I mean, we take it for granted, but we meet every Tuesday. And 3 of those Tuesdays, we invite a speaker to come in. And I know, Lori, you have been part of that for several times, but it gives the organization a chance to talk about what they've been doing and if there's something that Rotary can do to help them, but it also keeps us in touch of what's going on in the community. I know Marlene with the Henrye's been in front of us a lot, you know, talking about all the things that goes on with the Henrye, but there's things that go on in our community business-wise that nobody knows. And that was two of the things about Rotary was service above self. That's our motto. And I've said, and Rotary says, that Rotary is the largest business networking organization in the world. And that's where those meetings come in every Tuesday. You know, if it's a new business, if it's an established business, you know, it's just a chance for them to tell somebody and have lunch with us. And the meetings are pretty informal, and we have a pretty good time.
We have about 16 members, I think, of Rotary right now. It's open to anyone, and we do meet at the Grand Generation Center. That's not to mean that we're an older organization, even though, you know, a lot of people are maybe 60 and over, but we have lots of members who are 60 and under. The one nice thing about meeting at the Grand Generation Center is they serve a wonderful lunch meal, and we're always able to eat there. We support the Grand Generation Center as well by being there, I think, too. And Tammy Thurn, the executive director of the Grand Generation Center, is one of our most active Rotarians.
Absolutely.
How do you become a member?
Well, that's a very good question, Laura, but it's real easy to become a member, you know, and we probably could promote it a lot more than we do. But if you ask that you want to become a member, we'll get you an application and you are in. Because the more the merrier. And everybody comes with a new idea. In fact, when the Polar Express started, that was because we had a new member say, hey, what do you think of this? Well, 8 years later, the member's not with us, but we still have that project and it carries on because everybody has good ideas. And we need new ideas, you know, to keep things going.
It does, the annual membership dues are $150. Sometimes businesses will pay that for their employees if they're joining, you know, and representing their business there. Sometimes people pay their dues individually.
That was my next question is, do you have to be a part of a business to become a Rotarian?
No, you do not.
You know, it's funny you say that because when I came back here in 1983, my dad, you know, was already an active Rotarian, and we can talk a little bit about, don't forget, we need to talk about our time capsule. But anyway, at that time, he made it clear that anybody who joined Rotary had to state what their occupation was. And so they had to designate an occupation. That's not done anymore that I'm aware of. But so the question was, well, you know, Rotary already had an attorney or a lawyer. And so, but of course they would pick other choices and there were ways around it. But
They could only have one member in each occupation?
Well, you know, I kind of have that probably incorrect memory of that being the case. I don't think you'd ever want to limit people, maybe limit the lawyer. Maybe that was the whole thing, trying to limit the lawyer. But
That's not true.
But anyway, you know, my dad and I did different things as we were in a business together. So I didn't join until my dad was already gone, and I regret that. I would love to, you know, I should have been a member. I went to Rotary a few times like other people in this room have to provide programs, and Rotary was much bigger. It's dwindled a little bit like a lot of service organizations. But we picked up some new members. I would say of the members we have now, I'd say a fourth of them have been members for less than 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can use more members, and it is a neat organization to be there. You're not required to be there. I think that's another thing that used to be a thing years ago is that everybody had to pay for their lunch whether you were there or not.
Right.
But now you just pay for your lunch when you go there. And you know, Grand Generation Center charges $7 if you're over 60 and $8 if you're under 60. A little hint, I was at a Grand Generation Center board meeting earlier this year in January 1. Those are both going to go up by $1. But it's still a wonderful, you know.
That's still a heck of a deal.
Heck of a deal, yeah, it is. And that's.
It's a good meal.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
a very good meal.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even think I can go through Runza for less than $10 unless I'm ordering a children's meal.
And then you're pushing it.
Yeah. I do have some more questions about some of the things you were saying earlier, Claude, as far as the toys for kids. Was that a sign up for families? How do the Rotarians find those families?
Do you know more about this? We work with the schools.
Work with the schools, and I don't know what the lead organization is, but they sign up with that, and it's all anonymous. I mean, when we fill a toy bag, we're filling a bag with a number on it.
But you know, like there's a 7-year-old boy.
7-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl. So we take that sack and we go to our 12 to 13-year-old table and put some things in it for that person. We go to the 6, 7 age boy table and we put some things in it, tape it shut, put number 87 on it, and it's there. And when they bring their application in, it's numbered, and we hand them number 87 and away they go.
So how can the community get involved? Is it a monetary donation to the Rotary or a toy donation to the Rotary?
It's both, Lori. People donate money, people donate toys.
But do you have flyers? Because it seems like I always hear about it after the fact, and then unfortunately, I don't make it a priority.
We used to have cans at every business at the register where people could put money in it, but we have been so inundated with so many toys. I mean, we have totes and toys, and this year we want to make sure we're gonna really push to get rid of a lot because they get old, they get outdated. And the community has supported that program so well. We have some business come up and give us a $500 check. We have
I'm
some-
just wondering, as far as the library, is that something maybe we could work with you next year and put a bucket up that if you'd like to donate to toys, you can do it here, you can drop off a toy here and we can get it.
And when I was still working at the hospital, Lori, physical therapy had a box. And people would bring a toy and put it in that box. Cardiac rehab had a box. There's people that support it that nobody even knows.
Yeah. Are there certain ages where toys are hard to come by and that's where the money is helpful to go purchase
We've
toys?
always struggled because, newborns, we usually, are diapers and little books and those type things. Little stuffed animals are good, and then it goes from there all the way up to the 15, 16, 17-year-olds. What do you give them? So we kind of put a limit on the top end of it because where do you stop? And what do you buy a 17-year-old girl? What do you give them for Christmas?
That's a very good question.
So we struggle with that. And this year we got some AirPods. So we're gonna be using those for the older kids but it's really, when you're there watching them come in and picking up their sack and then they go pick up clothes and stuff, it makes you really count your blessings.
Now,
It really does.
you and I were talking before we started that if people still want to get involved, the bars downtown are doing an ugly sweater bar crawl. And I think they're collecting toys, if I'm correct, for the Toys for Tots. Is that your impression too?
I have heard that too. And Kristen Bennett is a big part of that too.
So not saying that you have to drink, but if you're interested in
Right.
doing something fun, I think check out, definitely the Merding Tap House or the Elks or the Frontier Frau, Studio 6 or Biggie's Facebook sites to see how you can get involved. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm trying to think, Claude, you said, the Polar Express. I know you said the tickets are available at Berkman and Basada and the chamber. Can people call ahead of time to see what times are available before they trek down to those locations, or is that
Yeah, absolutely.
preferred way?
No, absolutely. They can call. And if anybody's listening to this that's not in Cozad that would like to have us mail you a ticket, we can certainly handle that by phone. I don't know the chamber's phone number.
3930. 784-3930. I call them a lot.
Okay, and our number is 784-2040, where you can reach our staff to find out the same thing. We're coordinating with each other. We always used to sell the tickets pretty much at our office, but the chambers, I would say, gotten their act together. Jordan does a wonderful job. By the way, Jordan Starman joined Rotary too, which is very helpful that we have our chamber director as a Rotarian, and she's probably our youngest Rotarian. But she and our office are coordinating to distribute those tickets. So call with questions, questions about availability, and simply need to know how many people you're going to need. Trolleys hold somewhere close to 40 people, I think. It kind of depends on how big they are too. A lot of times you've got kids that are sitting on parents' or grandparents' laps. So
is that, so when you said that, is $8, is it 0 to 99 plus per person, or is there somebody's gonna sit on your lap?
We don't have a separate price.
No, we don't.
For children. I mean, if I will say, just maybe I don't have authority to say this from the organization, but we'd rather see people on the Polar Express, whether or not they can afford a ticket, you know, and if somebody feels like what we're asking is more than they can afford, we'd rather have people ride the Polar Express and be part of that experience. It is a fundraiser for our organization, obviously. That's one of the reasons we do it.
Is that the only fundraiser you do for your organization?
Well, we're on Give Big.
Oh, yeah.
So we raised, I'm not sure what our
That's turned out to be a very beneficial for Rotary Club.
I think for a lot of organizations, yeah.
But that's the other projects we do through the year, if I'm not mistaken, are not would not be considered fundraisers.
No.
Obviously, all the toy giveaway is not a fundraiser. The dictionary giveaway is a giveaway. So yeah, I think that, but you know, with the support we have from our own members, we don't need to do a lot of fundraisers. We do appreciate the opportunity to be part of Give Big, and we're able to use those funds too to help our programs and to look at other programs. Like Lyle said, that, you know, the goal of Rotary is service above self, and one thing that's always kind of hard to find sometimes is places where you can actually give your time, you know, and through our organization, you have that opportunity.
You know, another thing, Lori, that, I mean, it is a fundraiser, but it's not a public fundraiser that we do. We get together as an organization and bring our spouses, and we, you know, just at the end of the year and have a nice dinner, and everybody pays for their own, and I don't know how many years we've been doing, but it's never failed. Somebody always buys all the dinner, and then all that money that's left over goes into our general kitty, which turns into a pretty sizable fundraiser, you know, and it was never ever said this is what we're gonna do. It's just members in the organization step up and do that to be part of something that makes things better. And I think that's what the service organizations are supposed to do.
In my head, I'm thinking that internationally, Rotary sponsors kiddos who want to study abroad. Am I right with that?
No, that is true. That's something that we have really pulled back on, because there is a whole side of Rotary that is on the international side. And we've just kind of pulled back and just take care of the local things.
So the polio is the international
Right.
study abroad students. But if a kiddo up at the high school wanted to study abroad, would the Rotary be a great resource for them?
Rotary would be a good place to come and see, we would see what we could do to help them facilitate that. And we've had students here that have come to Cozad from abroad, and, you know, they come to Rotary and they talk to us and tell us about their experiences. So we get that flavor of it. And some years there's more of that than others.
Our district governor actually is from Ogallala, and she came and met with us, and she was a Rotary exchange student from, I can't remember the country, but a Latin American country, and she then spent a year at Ogallala High School as a Rotary exchange student, and then came back a few years later and went to school in the United States. And then eventually made a connection with somebody who she'd known from way back in Ogallala and married that individual. And now she lives in Ogallala, and she's become very active in Rotary. So that's kind of
I think our last foreign exchange student, lack of a better word, is Marcy Fink. Marcy Kastronic.
Mrs. Kastronic.
She was a Rotary foreign exchange.
And she went to Colombia, is that
I
right?
want to say Colombia or one of those places.
It's South America, I know for sure. That's awesome. What other opportunities are there internationally that Rotary is involved with?
Lori, I said, I hope you ask questions that I can answer, and that's one that I can.
I told you I was
That's
gonna
one
ask
that I
hard
can't-
questions.
That's one question I can't answer other than polio and the foreign exchange.
I think
I do
that's
know-
pretty awesome about the polio, though.
I do know that one social issue that Rotary is getting very involved in is human trafficking. And so I've gotten I get emails or texts from the Rotary governor that are sent out to all the local Rotary presidents, and they have someone coming to talk about human trafficking here recently. Our organization helped the last time or recently with that issue when the Fox Theater hosted a movie that was based on a human trafficking story. And so we had members, mostly Cindy Schneider, who went to the meetings, and Will Hupp would go to the meetings and read this stuff ahead of the meeting and offer additional materials to people on that issue at that time. So that's an issue that is at least local. I don't know if it's just a Nebraska issue or if it's an issue that has gained some national notoriety in Rotary.
I know that, was it back in August? Jose, do you remember that they had a special human trafficking event out at the lake? They stopped traffic on the dam to bring recognition to human trafficking.
It was either July or August.
Yeah, was the Rotary involved with that?
We were not involved with that. You know, not to switch gears here, but I look back at a couple of things I want to mention that we do. We give scholarships to two seniors each year from the Rotary, Cozad High School seniors. And we, it came up, I forgot what it was that, this is not an annual deal. Actually, it's only once every 50 years, but we opened a time capsule in August of 23. A time capsule was buried by the Rotary Club in 1973, right in front of what was then First Bank and Trust.
For the centennial.
Right, and so we went through a program. Tim Slottick was our president last year, and Tim worked out an arrangement to have that opened up, and we opened it up and had a little event where we offered hamburgers to people, and a nice evening in the middle of August, and we went through what was in the Rotary time capsule. Neat experience. Then we were able to accumulate, contact local businesses and folks to get contributions to putting that time capsule back in the ground to be opened again in the year 2073.
And I think your dad had a letter in there. Did he have it addressed to you?
He didn't have it addressed to me, but you know, the funny thing was they must have at one time talked about doing a 100-year time capsule because he had it addressed to the people of Cozad in the year 2073. And so what I did after I took a picture of that letter is I resealed it and put it back in there. So that letter, along with our letter from 2023, would be there. We contributed a lot of letters. It'll be interesting to see. You know, we put in like some cell phones, things like that, in the time capsule. It wasn't enormous, so we couldn't put a lot of stuff in there. A lot of documents. There were things like newspapers, an old annual, which I already had from 50 years ago, the Nebraska football program, you know, that like a dealership had put in a bunch of flyers for a lot of the equipment they were selling back then.
Right.
Just lots of different things that.
But I think of like your grandsons, they should still be around. So I'm hoping that you've told them that because it
Right,
was
they
just
were-
kind of a serendipitous thing for the 150th committee to find that out. We had no idea that there was a time capsule.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and in my dad's letter, he mentioned that he had 3 teenage boys at that time. Didn't know that he was going to have the granddaughter who was there and actually was the one who read the letter, Claire was, and her kids were there too. And, you know, they will, if they're in this area, hopefully they'll be there when they reopen the time capsule in 2073, which was a neat experience. and a neat process of trying to put one together, both opening it up to see what was in there and then being able to restore the time capsule for another 50 years.
And that was all Rotary.
Yes.
I mean, that was placed by the Rotary and everything.
And, you know, we had people like Steve Anderson, who was a longtime Rotarian, who came down for the time capsule opening.
Right.
And then Doc Holbein, Oliver Holbein, is still an active member of Rotary, and he was a member of Rotary back then. I believe that the list of Rotarians, I know it exceeded 50, was it?
Oh, it was huge, but, you know, they talk about what they used to do. You know, the Rotarians, they would meet every morning at 10 o'clock for coffee.
Every morning.
Can you imagine all the businesses going and making coffee at 10 o'clock this morning in today's society? I mean, that's, you know, things change. I mean, oh my
But
God.
if you think about it, the strength of your business community, if you were to do something like that, then everybody would be on the same page. That was my next question for you. I think Lyle said that the numbers have just dwindled. We don't have service organizations like the Lions Club.
JC's, which is known for the
the
community leaders.
JCs, yeah. What are your opinions on service over self, getting more people involved? Not necessarily just the Rotary, but getting involved in something, paying back your time somehow.
Well, I don't know if I have the right answer, but, you know, people have to figure it out for themselves. You know, you can go, and at the end of the day, and if you really think about what you accomplished, you're gonna kind of wonder. But it's more important to do quality things than it is quantity. And right now, our society is about quantity, in my opinion, not quality. And everything cycles, you know, I hope and pray that there's gonna be a day when, you know, people are gonna wanna share in the community and share with each other and be part of the community, not just live there, they wanna be part of it. And I think we're very fortunate, you know, in Cozad to, you know, we have a nucleus where people still want to be a part of something. Maybe not a part of everything, but they're a part of something.
Yeah, and you can't guilt people into it. You know, there are people who I think would be wonderful parts of a Rotary Club or any other service organization in this community that make their own personal choices to use their time other ways. And that's fine. I mean, the important thing is to provide the opportunity to people. You know, this is a wonderful opportunity to be involved in community chat so that we can get some word out about our Rotary Club so that people know that it's not a men's club at all. It's not an older people's club. It's a community-wide service organization. I was trying to check all my boxes, and the one I forgot to mention is we've been, since Cozad has had Music Monday, we've sponsored a Music Monday pretty much every summer, both by our financial contributions and being there to help on that particular Music Monday night. So it's not an overwhelming organization to be involved in. You don't feel like you have to do absolutely everything. We don't really have any programs we do where we need absolutely every member there.
Right.
It can all be, even with the group we have of 15 or 16 people, virtually all of our programs can be done without 100% attendance. You know, we need a lot of people here for the Polar Express. Need a lot of people to be involved in the toy drive, but typically if we get everybody there, like the dictionary giveaway, I think there were half a dozen or 7 people there with me, and you know, as a result, we were able to distribute the dictionaries pretty fast. So,
The hardest part was carrying all them dictionaries.
They
in
are
school.
heavy. Books are heavy. Do you have different committees? Like, is there a committee that's really for the toys and for the dictionaries and for the Polar Express? As far as like organizing it and then just saying to everybody else, hey, this is when we need you? Or is it really just a team effort?
It's just, since I've been involved in it, Lori, it's never been a committee-driven organization. It's always been, this is what we got going on, who can help with it? And that's how it just rolls. And it's been working.
And you know, when people assume a particular job and nobody's gonna knock them out of it. So, you know, there's certain people that like a particular type of project, and, you know, Rotary decided to honor my dad by manning an aid station at our road race every August at the CEB, now Claude and Jane Barrickman Memorial Race. And they manned the aid station, and basically Cindy Schneider and Tammy Thurn have been doing that the last few years because we don't have a whole lot of people involved in the race, so you don't need to have a ton of people there to man an aid station. So, yeah, and we have some people who struggle a little bit to get there at noon, depending on their work schedule. But they're just as good a Rotarians as everybody else we have in the group. And so again, the programs that we have are very educational, very helpful, and they're really cover a very broad range of things. Some of the programs that we receive are very local, talking about a local entity, but some of them are much broader. And so there's no, really not a whole lot of limits on what kind of program a Rotarian can get that can bring to the, you know, usually somebody who has 20 to 25 minutes of information they can share with us. And hopefully we not only have a wonderful lunch, we walk out of Rotary on a Tuesday a little smarter.
Wow. Do you guys do anything with the Rotaries like in Dawson County, or are you the only Rotary in Dawson County?
Gothenburg, no. Gothenburg has Rotary, Lexington had a Rotary. I don't know if Lexington is still active or not, but that's one thing I wanted to mention too, Lori, is Cozad's charter membership was in February of 27. So in February of 2027, we're going to be celebrating our 100th year. And that in itself is,
That's pretty phenomenal.
speaks pretty large for the Cozad community to keep that organization going for 100 years.
So you're planning all sorts of great activities for your 100th year.
Well, we really haven't even started talking about it yet, to be honest with you. But the other thing I wanted to mention is, you know, through the meetings we have, like one year we had the softball coach come up and talk to us about his softball program. And of course, you always ask questions. One of the questions was, well, is there anything you need? And he said, you know, what we really need out there is a scoreboard. We don't have a scoreboard. Well, within 2 weeks, Rotary had enough money raised to put a scoreboard out at the girls' softball field. And, you know, that's something that's been forgotten about already, but it just, things like that happen really fast. And there's a lot of things that are going to be coming up where people are going to
Maybe need some
help with, you know.
Marlene or Jose, do you have any questions?
I don't think so. It's been very informative.
Yeah, I always learn. I think I know stuff, and then I realize I don't know half of what I thought. But I sure appreciate both of you coming today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah. Is there anything that the library can do for you?
Well,
Other than
just
giving
keep
you a
making this
platform?
available for Polar Express. That's,
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't think I ever gave you my $20 deposit.
It hasn't happened yet, so you're good.
So one thing that's really nice about the Polar Express and the members get excited about, you know, my job is to go out there and say, all aboard. And here they come, get on the bus, and they get off, you know. In order for the Polar Express to be true, you have to be a believer. So these little kids get off, are you a believer? Oh yeah, you know, Chuck and members go around and says, so are you a believer now? Oh, man, it's exciting and it's just a fun evening.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a good time partnering with the Rotary, because I remember maybe the first couple years it was up at Candy Cane Park, and I remember getting off the trolley at 8, and the people I was with needed to go to the bathroom, and there were no bathrooms, and shut the lights off. Everybody's gone, so, there's a bathroom here, and it's lit.
No, thank you very much for letting us use this facility for that, Laura.
Well, I think you guys do.
This is
such a
about
great
the closest I think it's ever been to Christmas. It's actually the 23rd of December. We would obviously not be able to get any closer to Christmas than doing that this year. And that's, I was a little concerned about ticket sales, but they haven't dropped off at all. I think we're going to have a very successful fall.
Well, and I think maybe with the kids getting out of school on the 20th, maybe it's even more of a family thing that people can do.
Yeah.
Because I think, basketball would be in holiday
Moratorium
season. Yeah, moratorium, so there's not gonna be any games or anything. Anyway, do you have anything else for good of the cause before we let you go today?
I didn't bring my checklist, but I think we've hit most of it. But again, thanks for giving us the opportunity and for supporting Rotary.
Yeah. Well, with that, we will stop, and next month, boy, I usually do a really good job of looking up what next month is, but I have forgotten what next month is gonna be. So go to wilsonpubliclibrary.org, which is our website, and you will see starting December 20th, what's going on in January. Thank you.